We face, high turnover. With high turnover, and that's natural for the industry that we're in, the food industry. When you face that, you face having to hire in at a high volume. One, we have paperless onboarding, so I think that's something that's very important. But then when I built a team of recruiters, I have a recruiting manager, Sarah Smoot, who really runs the team and is amazing. And they would call every person coming in through our ATS system. And we just started to really monitor their life and, what their work-life balance is. And so in there, we just said, hold on, we need more than just a phone call because sometimes they don't answer or when they're calling back, it could be dinner for them, things like that. And so we, reached out to TextRecruit, which is the platform that we use to implement being able to reach out by text message. There's two different ways that it can happen. If it's just the recruiter, if someone goes to jobs.domino's.com and applies and it comes through our ATS system, we capture their phone number is captured, so we can, and that's where we can reach out to them by text message. But then there's another way, and this is where it goes beyond the recruiter, and what we call Dottie, and she's actually a robot, is what I call her. TextRecruit, it's their, they call it Ari, but this is where it's a robot that we had to train in a sense, and you'll see her, it says text, Dottie to 97211. And as an applicant, when you see that, when you text it, that's them engaging with the text. And then it's an automatic response back. And then two, you can take it a step further where not only have we trained the robot, or it's a chat box in a sense, but how to respond. My recruiters can also watch those conversations and they can click in and click out at any time. One of the biggest, when first looking at it, I had, talked to TextRecruit and said, I don't think we're going to be able to do this, but, who do you guys work with? And they couldn't send me, obviously, certain details, but who do you guys work with? And they, had, plus you could look it up on their website. So I started just doing my own research and going on their, they had a guarantee of a 37% response rate. And I thought that was low. And so I just started doing research and I just said, I think we can make this happen, because what you would see is you would only see a piece of paper that said text, whatever their keyword was, to that number, but it would be sitting on a window next to the hours of operations, or there was nothing that really grabbed your attention. And so I said, I said, I think we can figure this out. So created a character. Her name is Dottie. That's what we actually made our keyword is text Dottie. And so we made her our official recruiter for the face of RPM Pizza. And so creating that marketing campaign, plus, print material, social media, whatever that is, and getting the team trained up took about 6 months to do, but about a month to implement. And I had 3 months to prove if there was an ROI there, and it proved itself in a month. Our results, like I said, the 37% response rate, and coming in, we were sitting at a technically 92, but on average, a 90% response rate, which is unheard of for any of their customers. So our turnover started when I joined the company was at 200%. So again, I've been on a mission to really figure out ways to change the culture. And there's a lot of factors that go into that. There's no one magic trick. It's a lot of magic. But where this comes into play with turnover is that it sets the stage, just like anything anyone would do when meeting someone that they want, like they're going to build a relationship with, is that not only, that it's engaging, it's quick, it's efficient, and it's what they want. And so that's where it starts it off. And then what we do is it helps keep ourselves internally accountable for giving that same experience all the way through if they stayed with us for 30 more years. One thing that it really helps, drive is knocking out, applicants who don't fit our criteria. And so, something as simple as, a teenager who wants to drive for us, and they're not of age. And so that question is in there. And so what happens is that, we might have 100 people coming in, but we don't have, Dottie is able to ask a certain, a couple of questions. And so maybe 20 drop off from there because maybe they weren't of age to drive, right? So then we're dealing with 80, the recruiters are, they're doing a little bit of a pre-screen. And so for the most part, everyone actually, will pass. And it just comes down to like backgrounds and things like that. But so it makes it a lot more efficient and quicker in that way. And with mass people, also you can do campaigns with this system. So I can, or one of the recruiters can actually be talking to multiple people at one time and through the text messaging. Most of the times when they're doing that, they're using the system on their computer. It just seems to be a little bit easier on their side. But so that's also exciting, being able to handle all of that. You have to train her on keywords. And so, I mean, I don't think you could really create anything that just like, someone's got to give it the information and the knowledge. So, so that's where, our recruiting team, when they were testing it and things like that, they were keeping up with what people were responding back with, and so we have a lot of, we would call them bloopers, where we go, whoops, and we would, call TextRecruit and go, hey, we've got to restructure these questions, we've got to, add in some more keywords, and when these keywords are picked up, here's the response back. So that's where there's a lot of training that you have to do. But when it's going, I mean, that's not maybe in the beginning, it's more often, but it gets easier as time goes by.